Hey ladies and gents, this is the Wiz coming to you with the review of Phobus, the Dark Steed. That's Illythia's horse. Illythia is one of the 4 horsemen from the Mythic Legions line. And I've already reviewed Illythia, so you should go back and look at that if you want to take a look at the rider. This Phobus and Illythia were part of the 2-pack. So I'm not gonna re-review Illythia because she's exactly the same figure that came carded separately, and I've already done that review as I've mentioned. But I am gonna review Phobus because he is, he hasn't been reviewed. I still have not gotten a separate Phobus and a separate pack, but this 2-pack, which is actually rare or rarer than the separately carded figures, is one that I had to pick up because I got a 2-pack for the Illythia wave, kept that in box, and then later on discovered that I probably shouldn't open it because it was a bit rarer. And even though it's just a packaging difference, I'm now going to see if I can collect all of the 4 horsemen. Necronominus, Illythia, and slips my mind, the one that's upcoming, and also get them in 2 packs and keep them in package. Collecting's a little bit of a sickness sometimes. So yeah, I do want my 2 packs, and I want to keep those in box and then open the individually carded ones that come with the all-in package. So let me take a look at Phobus's and Illythia's bio here on the side of this massive 2-pack box. Let's see. It doesn't really talk about Illythia or Phobus that much. It says, cold and calculating in nature, Illythia is the gracefully lethal personification of the eternal famine, which curses her vampiric children. Whereas Illythia's rage is full of fire and fury, Illythia's touch is decidedly icy and silent. After waiting in the shadows, her reunion with her long-lost weapon, the Soul Spiller, has brought the apocalypse closer than ever. And just as Soul Spiller possesses the power to rob its victims of their life force, Illythia stands ready to drain the blood from Mythos. So this is a vampire's horse. And so he is an undead horse, as you can tell from probably the sculpt. So this is just going to show you how Illythia sits very, very nicely on him. Obviously, horse and rider are made for each other. Illythia has these flexible cloth pieces which allow her to sit, very nice and very comfortably. And these are wired so that you can put them back when she is floating in midair, because she has that. We can tell from the art from Nate Barch that she has the ability to float. But it's nice to have a horse and a rider that fit each other so seamlessly. But since I've already reviewed Illythia, let's take a look at Phobus here. And the first thing you'll notice is that he's an undead horse. So he's got no pupils. He's got the white of his eyes there. And his nose is, it's basically bone, black bone. So there aren't any other signs of decay anywhere else, but the nose with the bone exposed is a dead giveaway that, yeah, Phobus is an undead horse. Now, in my personal canon, I've got this trow here that my Phobus is not going to drink water like a regular horse. It's going to drink blood, which I think is kind of cool since, he serves a vampire and he's not a regular horse. So I'm going to take and fill this up with red liquid of some sort and incorporate it into the display. So when he's hanging out, that's what he prefers. a nice warm trough of fresh blood. So let's take a look at some of the sculpted bits here. As you can see, he's got bat ears that adorn either side of his head. He's got this vertebra, or if I look a little closer, maybe it's a centipede. It could be a centipede that sort of is a nod to vertebra. So, you know, centipedes, I think, feed on decayed flesh. So that's another sort of deadly creature. And then some more small bat wings here that sort of echo the larger ones. But yeah, and then there is a bird here in that sort of chest piece that may or may not be a vulture head. And then again, the motif of the bat wings echoed on either side of that head. And it's just chock full of little details, including a skull, or what appears to be skull, some sort of skull on top of the bird head. And horns. So, you know, very demonic and sinister in appearance. I like the fact that he's purple. He's got a purple mane and a purple tail, because otherwise that really color coordinates with the colors of Illythia. And I've actually been hoping to use him as a mount for an earlier Four Horsemen figure, the figure of Isadora. Isadora is from the Seventh Kingdom line. She is likewise a bad girl, and she's got these wonderful metallic purples and blacks in her costume, and bones protruding from the back. But I have had her astride a Black Panther for a long time, but I think she will make good use of this mount here, because I think she fits really well. Kind of interesting, Isadora being part of what was called the Queen's Retinue back in the day from Seventh Kingdom. You can see how she differs, and also how far the Four Horsemen have come with their female figures. The main thing that I noticed comparing her to Illythia is not only is she smaller and sort of skinnier and spindlier, but you can really see how the joints have evolved. She's got double jointed elbows with pins there, and the pins are not as well disguised or hidden as the ones on Illythia. So I still love my Isadora figure. She's missing her loincloth piece right here, because that was not soft goods. And when I had her riding her black cat, she couldn't ride it with that piece on there. So I've got to track that down somewhere. So Isadora Ironspine has always been a favorite of mine. I like to think that her name Isadora was a nod to Iz, because at the time I was bugging the Four Horsemen to make a figure of my wife, and they didn't, but they made Isadora instead. So I'd like to think that maybe that was a nod to the fact that I was raising all kinds of holy hell on the forums, asking them to make a figure that looked like my wife. And then maybe that's why they made this evil gal. So anyway, you can use this horse, I guess, for, you know, all manner of other figures. I'm thinking at some point we'll probably get a head that is not just a dead horse's head, so that we could have just a black horse that's not undead. But who knows? Who knows? You know, we know this head comes off, and I would like to see like a black Equidron type figure where we could pop maybe one of these heads onto like an equidron and then have like a regular horse's head that we can swap onto this one so that we could have a normal black horse, you know, as normal as a horse with a purple mane would look. But, you know, that's just an idea that maybe in the future the four horsemen can kind of look at, because I'm sure, you know, people are going to want pop and swap options for their horses. So this is a pretty remarkable horse base body. Also came with, it's the same base body that Balius had, but I'm going to compare it to some of these other horses that have been, that I've used in the past for Mythic Legions, and you can just see immediately size-wise this sort of a big war horse turns the other horses into ponies or small mounts that I think would work well with smaller characters, and while this horse would work with any character, small or big. So I like the tail, the range of motion there, and then the other thing that's kind of different about this and most horses is that you can splay the feet out. So there's some in and out articulation there. And then he's got all the good articulation that you would normally want in a horse, including the backward horse knees. He turns here. I don't know what the parts are, but fetlock, I think that might be. And then it goes forward and splays out, and not only has hinges, but also swivels. Most people are just going to have him on a normal horse pose, but you can also sort of, you know, move the legs around so that he's, his mane popped off there, so that he's rearing up on his hind legs. I'm not going to take him through all the paces when it comes through articulation, because if I had to do that in every review, it would just positively drive me nuts. There's other reviewers that are really good at that and like doing that. I don't, because most of these share a base body and the articulation is always pretty much the same. But I've never seen a horse this well articulated with this, you know, beautifully hidden articulation, that'll hold a pose, you know, and that will look good in practically any pose that you put him in, as far as horses are concerned. Including, like, if you want him rearing up, you know, that he can turn his hooves up that way. And you can also take him apart and customize them. I've seen people do that. I haven't applied heat to this guy, so I want to be very careful when playing with him right now, because it's always a good idea to apply heat to your figures. So, but I've seen people use the tail as a base, so he can sort of rear up like that. The mane's interchangeable. Different parts pop up. So let me show you what he looks like next to the Lord of the Rings horses, which, like I said, were the stand-ins for him. Here's the Lord of the Rings horse. You can see that sort of substantially smaller steed. I think the Lord of the Rings horses are pretty good. I don't like the way they all have one leg up like that with that action feature, because it's just kind of weird that all the horses would be holding that one particular leg up. But, you know, there was a run on these horses for a while because everybody wanted to pose them with their Mythic Legions. But I think these just sort of highlight how big, how powerful, and how much cooler this Phobus steed and the Mythic Legion steeds are than the horses that we got with the Lord of the Rings line, which, like I said, I think were excellent. I would not have had this stupid action feature because I guess that's designed to appeal to kids, but you know, come on. You get this big ugly button on the side. So that's kind of the functional equivalent of the Steed, the evil black Steed that we got from Lord of the Rings, next to Phobus. So yeah, if you want a big, strong warhorse who's nattily attired with all of the evil accoutrements, get him. And for those of you who want Illythia and him, obviously they make a great team. I don't have all Illithia's arms on. She has 6 arms, right? And I don't have all her accessories. I just have her here just so you can see what she looks like sitting on there. I think this is a great job that the Horsemen did on this Steed. And like I said, I'm gonna get multiples, and one of them I have promised to my first love from Seven Kingdom, Isadora Ironspine. All right, well, I think that gives you a good look at Phobus. And if you want to see, like I said, a full review of Illythia, go and take a look at the Illythia review that I did when I started at the beginning of this wave. All right, Is to Wiz, signing out.